Hey, thanks for clicking on one of our videos. If you're a Baylor fan, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell if you want to join us for a live stream soon. This is Please Bear With Me. Enjoy. I want to talk a little spring football because we didn't really get to do any of that last week. We were so busy getting 64 names out there for this bracket. What, in your opinion, is the number one storyline for Baylor football going into spring camp?
Shehan, you want to start on this one? I started the last one.
Sure. I think for me, I mean, there's so much to like, right? There's so much to like about this roster. There's so much that's coming back. But I think that when you look at the biggest issues of the past couple of years that haven't been solved, it's been that secondary. That's the reason that they made a coaching change, obviously, on the back end, bring in Paul Gonzalez, a longtime TCU assistant coach. They brought in multiple transfers on that end. And I think that when you look at Baylor's run in the second half of the season, a lot of it did coincide with not playing the better passing offense in the Big 12. Now, TCU was an exception to that. TCU was certainly one of the better ones. But for a lot of the others, it really just kept the game in front of them, right? It was a lot of getting to play within the box. And Baylor, I think, improved tremendously at that. We knew that when Dave Aranda took over linebackers, that was going to be able to be a strength for them. But I think on the back end and at cornerback, like, we have just not seen the level of production that we need to see. I think the talent is there. I like a lot of the guys in that room, but I do think that they need to take a step, and really I think they need to take a leap. The good news is that cornerback especially is a position that is such an experienced position, and you've got 3 or 4 guys who have played a lot of games for Baylor at this point. So I do expect progress. But I mean, the reality is, to run Dave Aranda's defense, you have to have a level of cornerback and safety play that Baylor just has not seen to this point.
And honestly, I think you can go even broader there too, Sean, with just the whole defense, in terms of, that's obviously the most important part. And that's why they go out and get Paul Gonzalez, who was obviously a mainstay at TCU for so long. And now it's almost like it's set up towards the end of the season of like, okay, Dave, we had a terrific season this year, the win streak and everything, to get to 8-4. It was a nice turnaround. We still didn't have the defense we wanted on the back end of the season. Like, we feel, Baylor just in general, feeling we're pretty close to something really nice here. And I'm talking about competing for a Big 12 championship and therefore competing for a college football playoff spot. Like, we feel it's like that team going into the trade deadline. We need 1 or 2 more things. We're so close to it. And this is year 2 under Dave Aranda. Here you go. Keys to the defense. It's all yours, pal. It's the second year of kind of Matt Powledge getting out of the awkwardness. Am I the defensive coordinator? Am I not? And they need some help on the pass rush too. So I find the whole defense to be pretty fascinating. But Shehan is right. I mean, it starts in the back end, and Baylor just was getting shredded at times there last year. And so to not steal his thunder, I'm going to look at the offensive line too, because that was a huge question mark going into 24. I thought you got some great offensive line play. It's really when the win streak started. We can talk about Sawyer and we can talk about the run game, but it was really that offensive line turning it around. And going into this year, you've got some questions. You put some more guys in different situations towards the end of the season. You've got about half that offensive line coming back. You did really well in the spring transfer portal last year, and getting some guys like Sidney Fugard comes to mind as a guy you could actually play meaningful snaps at the end of the year, which is tough to do on an offensive line in the spring transfer portal. You're going to see some more Colton Thomason. So I think this kind of offense does still, at the end of the day, rely on how well you could protect your quarterback and how much room you're going to give to Bryson Washington. You got to do a lot. As Terrance can tell you, these offensive linemen in this kind of offense, you got to be able to do a lot.
And I remember, Terrance, we were texting about that offensive line early in the season. It really was true. Like, the turnaround from game 1 to the end of the season on that offensive line was pretty remarkable last year.
It really was. I remember texting the group chat that, Scotty, you and I have been in for several years now. Even early in the season when things wasn't looking great and choppy, I would just say run the ball. Run the ball. You talk about being able to ease a quarterback who's trying to build momentum and confidence in himself, because he didn't start the season. There was another quarterback, and we had to figure that out. And there was a lot of coaching trust where – offensive coordinator is trying to figure out what he's going to do and how that offense is going to look under Jake. And, when we finally started running the ball, you could tell that defenses were almost honest every play. And then when we got behind, that made defenses, pin their ears back and come after us. But when you blitz and Washington runs for 60 yards, or you get a tonal screen, or you get the ball out to Josh Cameron and he breaks for a long run, I mean, Pendergrass as well, it makes the defense think about everything they're going to do. And last week when we had Dominique Ziegler on, he said, defenses never can be right. And I think as the season progressed, offensive line played much better because they can anticipate when pressures were coming. As well as they played on that stretch, I was really hoping for a little bit more in the bowl game. But the bowl games are they're hit and miss, man. You never know what team you're going to get. You're long distractions, but anyways,